can have that angle where we just like, you know, well, we can talk about the fact that look, how the hell that, okay, if we take two people, right, and we're like, well, this guy's a nice guy, or he's a good guy, but once we know that he's a good guy, then we try to fuck him over. Like, what's the what's the motivation, right? And then when you switch that up to this guy's an asshole, so I will watch out. I will make sure that, you know, I don't get called out or I don't get like this talk, you know, this condescending talk that we all had like from either a friend or, you know, I don't know, either like a father figure or like, you know, a figure of the law where we're just like, man, we don't even want to hear it, right? And we make sure we take the steps not to hear it. But ultimately, it's like, why are we dealing differently when it comes to shit like that?
Well, I think. Well, first of all, as always, like, you know, it's your boy Alessandro Tryhard here with the Clinic, aka Calling Out Clinic here on his channel. But
yeah.
I think if we're gonna go into depth on the topic today, which is basically like society's perpetual almost gear or motion, like it's a fucking clock or something.
Yeah.
Like on trying to transform nice guys that, you know, for lack of a better term, are dying of pussy starvation. You know what I mean? And into these assholes that seem to be eating at some like pussy buffet. Like it's non-existent. Like, I understand the movies, I get the culture, I understand society's view on it, but really that's what we're trying to break, right? Like, so basically you've got girls today, and we've touched on this on a couple of our vlogs, a couple of our videos, and, you know, podcasts so far, but it's like, you know, you got girls today that think about nothing other than like, you know what, this guy, you know, he's a bad boy. So like, because he's a bad boy, you know, I want him to be inside me, or like I'm a virgin, but I want to give him everything. You know, like some shit like that. Yeah. But then, you know, we talk about, you know, who you were before you did this podcast, who I was before I did this podcast. It's like we've almost had to. And not to go back to like a Darwin or anything like that, but like, because I know I've quoted that in other videos, but it's almost the same. It's the same argument. It's like, you know, we've had to evolve, like almost the adapt or die, right? Yeah. And the only problem is in today's society, you adapt to being an asshole, or you die of pussy starvation. And it's to the degree of like, you've got girls, and we mentioned this in one of our most recent videos. I think it was 2 videos back, or maybe 3 videos back, or whatever. And it was on how society as a whole, girls are not the classic women that our mothers were. You know, now what they are in fact is they're out trying to be hoes, because like they don't have anybody being like, oh, you're a hoe, calling them out like we do in these podcasts. Yes. You know, instead it's like, oh, you're a hoe, let me celebrate you for being a hoe, because it's your right to be a hoe. Yeah. Now what we've got is we've got people being like, oh, well, it's my right to be a hoe, so I'm going to be a hoe. Yeah. But because I'm a hoe, I choose to only fuck with these bad boy dudes. Or I choose to only deal with assholes that aren't going to treat me right, are going to fuck me, are going to abuse me, are going to, you know, nag me when I'm at a club, do whatever they can do, manipulate me, do whatever, and you're pushed into that role now. Like, the nice guy is dead. The guy that pulls open those doors, they want that from us, but then we're dealing with bitches, like I mentioned in another video, where it's like, oh, well, I've never been on a date, but you know what? Now, you took me out on a date, try hard. So because you took me out on a date, you know, I've had boyfriends in the past, and here I am thinking to myself with just a thought, I'm like, wait, so this bitch has had boyfriends, but she's never been out on a date? How does that work? Logic's broken, logic's flawed. She doesn't give a fuck because she's broken too, right? Because society is broken. Yes. But then she thinks to herself, you know what? I've never been out on a date. This guy took me on a fire date. It was awesome. I had a great time. Yeah. But more importantly, I'm not going to fuck this dude. You know, if he was some random Tinder hookup, because that's how me and this bitch met, if it was just what I expected the night to be, where this guy was a dick, or he was an asshole, or he wasn't Prince Charming, but then it turned out to be Prince Charming, oh yeah, I would have sucked him off. I would have fucking took him around the world, and that would have been that. I probably wouldn't have seen this guy before, but it doesn't matter because I'm a hoe. because the society should celebrate me and my independence as a woman for being a fucking hoe.
Yeah.
But the difference is,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting there on the other end and I'm like, I'm a nice guy still at this point.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there and I'm baffled. I'm like, I can't believe my mind. I don't understand what just happened.
Yeah.
And I feel like I didn't tell this story on the last podcast because you were like, Ray, you'll tell the story in a minute. I didn't. But anyway, and basically it's just like, to conclude it, it's like, I'm like, get out of my car because, and she's like baffled. She's like, I don't understand why the night was so perfect. Why are you ruining it, try hard, by kicking me out of your car? And I'm like, I'm kicking you out of your car because you have a hoe mentality. And your hoe mentality is, because I treated you right, I don't get the pussy. I don't get laid because I treated you right.
Yeah.
And like, there's girls out today, and I mentioned this in the last video. I think what I said was the 19, the 20, the 16, the 17, the 18s are acting 15. And I'm gonna put that shit on a fucking shirt because it's the truth. But all I'm saying is, it's the whole mentality, and the whole mentality is forcing nice guys like yourself and me included to evolve. So now, if you ask me, and not necessarily evolve for the better, because when I was a nice guy, there was nothing wrong with that, right? Like, I was still holding doors, I'm still opening them today, but I consider myself an asshole. The only big deal is that I don't deal with bullshit. And I'm the same type of guy that will now fuck you and then throw your clothes at you and tell you to get out of my house after I'm done. But that wasn't instinctual. I didn't wake up one day and say, you know what? This is what needs to happen in the future. It's dealing with the whole mentality that has pushed me into this now.
Well, yeah, no, like, look, you're absolutely right. But here's the thing. The way I see this thing is just like, okay, the reason why, quote unquote, and I'll say quote unquote assholes, because at the end of the day, they're not assholes per se. They do asshole things, but it's only because they go out of the norm, right? I call myself the Carnal Clinic because I realized 2-3 years ago that my life is better when I talk to a girl and I'm like, listen, this is what I want to do, and if you're not down with the program, you're not down with the program, you know? And I was a really, really nice guy, and when we say really nice guy, I still consider myself being a nice guy. But I evolved in where I could switch it up and then just be like, look, girl, this is what I want. Right? When I meet a girl now, I'm just like, look, let's meet. Like, I used to do the whole, okay, you know when you talk to a girl online, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, I need to make sure she's comfortable. I need to make sure this. I need to make sure that, right? And then what do? You talk for like 2, 3, 4 weeks. Then you get a number. Then you do the same thing again, 2, 3, 4 weeks. And then you hope that you didn't fuck up. Then you're being really careful with the words, really careful with not like
but
bitching.
Walking on eggshells, essentially. Yeah.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like saying, look, I want to make a cake, and then on the recipe for the cake, it says eggs, and you're like, well, I don't want to break one.
I'd say the better analogy is like, you want to make a cake, but it's like on the recipe it says cook at 375 degrees, but don't burn it, and it can only be in there for 15 minutes, not a second over 15 minutes. You're like, you know what? I'm going to cook it at 350 for 20 minutes. Right. Because I'm scared I'm going to fuck it up.
That's perfect. That's a perfect analogy. And here's the thing. I switched it where I'm just like, okay, look, I don't want to be this asshole where, because assholes, a pure asshole just does things out of spite. He just does something. He's like, I'm just going to be a dick and then do it.
Yeah.
I don't consider myself that.
See, I consider myself that now.
And the reason why I don't is because I'm like, I have a logic. I have a philosophy when it comes to shit like that. When right now I talk to a girl, either it's online or live, right? And I had to do it today. Today, I'm talking to some girl. This girl looked at me. A tall chick just looked at me. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to go for that. I go. I grab her by the hand. She grabs my hand. And then we're just talking. I'm trying to dance, so I tell her, look, take your drink, leave it at the bar. I'll just dance for you for a bit and then leave. Her friend, that's like 5'2", right, comes to me and says, blah, blah, you know, you need to leave and all that shit. And I look at her and I'm like, listen, like, are you the representative for her? Like, are you getting paid? Like, seriously, I'm like, are you getting paid
What is this? The UN? Are you the representative for this country?
Yeah, like, are you the representative for this country
This bitch. Like,
that has a population of 1?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay? And she's like, yeah, but you need to leave. I'm like, why? And this is what I love about this shit. Is the fact that once you hit someone with why, and I know for the fact that those girls don't have levels to the shit. And what I mean by levels is that, look, I can talk with Tryhard all day about one thing.
I think what you mean is like levels of comprehension, right? So like,
yeah.
very simply, like they can't comprehend like from A to B. Like I asked a question and then you rebut it. It's like, I didn't know we were gonna go into a debate. I wasn't prepared. So like, I'm gonna walk away.
Well, there you go.
You win.
Well, there you go. Because when we talk, like when you say, look, I'm an asshole, and I say I'm not, right? If you ask me why, calling out, why you think you're not an asshole? I have a philosophy. I have a way to explaining and saying I don't think I'm an asshole because I just say what I want to say, and there's a reason why I'm saying it.
Yeah.
Right? So, like the problem with this whole like, okay, nice guy and asshole debate is just because we stay like too much on extremes. There's like a gray area, and the gray area is if a girl deserves to be treated nice, she will be. And if the girl deserves to get the verbal beating, which I did with this girl, she gets it. And you stay and you try. Basically, I think like my theory is that the best way for you to navigate through getting girls or to anything in life is you have the two. Where even at work, right? That you go to work and you're like, look, I'm gonna try the best that I can, which is the first extreme. But the other extreme is if somebody wants to fucking, abuse me, I'm gonna call them the fuck out and then chill out on the work ethic that I have. Because many jobs, and you guys worked and all that, right? You go to a job and then you do your absolute best. You're like, all right, this is a 3-month probation. Let me rock it out. Guns blazing, not giving a fuck.
You like that fucking job analogy, yeah?
I love it.
You were in the HR in the jobs.
Like. I love it. Stop calling me out. It's my job. Jesus. This guy's calling me the fuck out. But I love the job analogy because I feel like most people get a job or try to get a job or had a job so they understand it.
Yeah.
Because I could say anything else. Like it's not everyone that loves cooking. It's not everyone that loves talking to girls like that. So I say if you take a job and you're like, all right, I'm doing the best as I can.
Yeah.
But if you do the best as you can and then now you don't have that other side of you, which is, look, they're abusing me. I need more money. I need to go to my supervisor, whoever's in charge, and then tell them, look, I'm doing a work of 3, so I need to make more money. Like, what's up?
Yeah.
And if they're like, no, then you have to like be this quote unquote asshole, but you're not being an asshole, you're just watching for yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you leave that company, it's because they didn't value your work, they didn't value your time. Okay, so going back to the chick thing and going back to that girl that I was talking to, right? If I have a girl showing interest from far while I'm talking to a friend, I went over there. I went and I'm like, hey, what's up? You look good, blah, blah. This girl says she's married.
Okay.
Okay.
Red flag. Yeah.
Red flag. Like, we're talking 2, 3, like, I guess she was drunk. She's like, oh, I'm married. I'm like, cool, I respect that. Because, again, me being the guy, my philosophy with this shit, I'm like, I don't want to deal with that. And the reason I don't want to deal with that is not because I don't want to fuck the girls. It's because guys don't have, I'm sure they don't have the same mentality as I have. Because if I ever marry a chick, which I don't think will happen, because I don't want that, but I'm saying if it happens, right, and I have anybody that manages to fuck my wife, my mentality will be, bitch, you're demoted. Because I took you from being just a street hoe, just being this bitch that just runs around getting fucked by me, to your highest level in this earth, which is the wife of some dude.
See, now for all the viewers out there, I wanna point out one thing, because like, again, we haven't per se gotten like, and I say per se, but we haven't per se gotten any feedback so far on the videos. But I mean, this is a new channel, a lot of things like that. But I do want to say, like, to all the feminists out there that are watching this, like, and just have the mentality, oh my God, you know what? Like, these guys think they're so above women. It's like, I'm not trying to be a dick here, but, like, again, I did call myself an asshole earlier in the video.
You
so,
did.
like,
Yeah.
I mean, tell me I'm wrong.
Okay.
Call me out for that, but it's like,
Yeah.
give me a reason not to, right? Give me a reason not to think that way, right?
No,
but my attitude is like, you know, I'm not trying to say that we're better.
No, we're better.
But, okay, so...
No, here's the thing.
Maybe that is our stance.
No.
But my whole thing is like,
Yeah.
let me justify it then, right? But just so you can finish your point.
Oh yeah, no,
but,
for
like,
sure, go for it.
My whole thing is like,
Mhm.
I don't want haters to look at this video and be like, oh my God, these guys think that they're the shit, and like, I may or I may not know who these guys are in real life, and they're not the shit. You know what? First of all, fuck you. Second of all, more importantly, like, I don't do this to basically come out here and like call out a race of people, but like when you force me to dictate to society what a hose mentality is, and you force me to open up the book on, you know, why it's so much easier for a chick to go and build a roster than it is for a dude to build a roster. Both fire people, if you consider like a 9 out of 10 general public for a chick, 9 out of 10 general public for a dude, that guy can ask 100 women for sex.
Probably get one.
That girl can ask 100 dudes for sex, probably 5 or 10. Now, is that a huge margin? No. Is it 10 or 150 or 1,000% more? Yeah. You know what I mean? It's it's ridiculous to me because like there's still people that are going to listen to this video and they're going to think to themselves, you know what? These guys, they're throwing like genders under the bus. They're throwing like women as a whole under the bus. We mentioned this in a couple videos ago. Like, you know what? Maybe this podcast is for lesbians and straight dudes. Maybe that's what it is. But I'm not trying to say it's not. Like, if you're whatever preference you are, like, cool, listen, we appreciate it. But my whole thing is like, if I'm going to come at this mentality, right? And like, we met 2 girls at the club tonight that were both lesbians, and they totally agreed with us. It was like, you know, you're saying what I have to deal with in my life. Because, like, I'm dealing with these hoes the same way that you're dealing with these hoes.
But that's the thing.
But that's what I'm getting at, right? I'm like, it's not like it's a struggle for me as a single guy.
It's just
that's 24.
It's not the same.
It's like, it's not the same. And it's not what it was in the 70s or 80s or 90s. Because, like, man, I think back to those times all the time. Like, dude, if I go back to, I want to say the 70s, because in the 60s it wasn't a good time for guys like our color. But I'm saying, like, if we go back to the 70s or we go back to the 80s.
Oh, you can take the 90s and like
but like if I wasn't 6 in the 90s, you know what I mean? Instead I was 24 like I am now.
But the early like 2000s, it was still working.
But you know what I mean? Like my thing is, it's broke in the 10s. Like 2010s rolled around and shit broke because like people, for whatever reason, and the whole talk today is like why society is transformed guys that are nice guys like yourself and me into either the gray zone assholes like you talked about, or assholes as general, which I'll say that I qualify to be. But then, I mean, there's even sub argument to that, which is what is the definition of an asshole? Do I have to beat up a girl, or can I neg her at a club? Can I just call her fat in a dress that I know she doesn't look good in? Like what puts me over the edge to that, right?
But here's the thing: it's almost like it's always a perception thing, because look, if a girl that you know is wearing something that doesn't fit her, right?
It's my duty to tell her, right?
But that's the premise, right? The premise is this shit doesn't look good on you, right?
Yeah.
So if you say that,
that's not how she's gonna take it, though. We both know that.
No, we understand that, but for the sake of the argument, we're just saying, here's the premise. If you don't say that, just to be politically correct, right? Like, what you're doing is that setting the shit up where all of a sudden she decides that this is her favorite outfit, and she goes along with it. And I'm sorry for the guys that will listen. Like I know we're like kind of like rambling to the points, but here's the thing. why are you considered an asshole for telling the truth? And we had that conversation when we went to the store, right? Because it's like, okay, if I lie about something and it's more entertaining than the actual truth, then people run with the shit. Why? You know what I'm saying? Like, if I go to, like, if I find a gossip about a star, and I'm like, blah blah blah, this so and so star is you know, she's a prostitute now. She loves to do that, and then people are like, I can't believe that. She has a career, she has kids. Why would she pull that, right? People will just run with it, and then they don't say anything. But if somebody goes through a rough patch, I'm like, listen, like, you need to toughen up your act, and then I'm gonna help you. But I'm saying, let me be the one guy that will be the truth. All of a sudden, you're an asshole for telling them that. Although it is the truth, it's the absolute truth. So, are you really an asshole for just saying what it is? Like, you know, if somebody, you know, looks at the sky right now and tells me that, hey, it's not dark, and hey, I see the sun, although it's the moon, right? Should I just run with it and be like, I don't want to be this asshole, so I'll just run with it, but think that they're crazy and run away? Or should I just tell them, look, this is not how things are. It is dark, you know, it's early in the morning, and what you're seeing lining up the shit and thinking that the fucking moon is following you because you're driving, it's the moon, right?
Yep.
So, this is like the definition, like, what is the definition, in your opinion, Tryhard, of being an asshole? Because I don't see one per se. For me,
I think I'm on the same level with you, Clinic, only because, like I said, like, the definitions are so broad and so vague, and like.
No, but what's yours?
We all no. I'm saying, like, I don't have one. I'm
Okay.
just like you.
Yeah,
Like,
okay.
What I am gonna say too is, like, there's still girls out there that are gonna make an argument. And they're gonna say, well, you know, this podcast makes you guys assholes. You know, as little as that. But then there's gonna be girls that are like, oh well, perfect example tonight. You talked to that tall friend that was married, but to that small friend that was trying to get you away from her, it's like you were an asshole to her because you didn't leave. You know. Another example would be like, I'm an asshole to that chick that I just straight up was like, listen, I don't understand. Just because I treated you well, I'm not going to get the fuck. And she's like, well, yeah, because I like you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, get out of my car.
Yeah.
Like, I'm an asshole in that instant to her because I blew up and...
Her little perfect thing.
And that's my thing. I think, and we talked about fairy tales versus reality. We've already done that vlog. If you haven't caught that, go back and watch it and listen to it. But I think that's what defines it now, today.
Yeah.
You're an asshole when you're willing to blow up. No, when you're willing to blow up that little perfect fairy tale or perfect little fucking snow globe of a world that people put themselves in.
Holy fuck, but how is it even perfect? Like, okay, look. And I understand why she tried to pull something like that, right? Because, yeah, you're right. It is perfect. Because it's like, look, I don't have to invest anything and I get all that shit.
Yeah.
This is why, like, I'm saying, like, girls and even society as a whole is abusive. Why they're abusive? Because it's like, if you don't ask for your cash up front, as they say in the pimp world, it's like, bitch, like, the first rule of like, pimping a hoe is you tell her, look, you need to grab your money first, right?
Yeah.
And the reason you do that, right? And I'm saying pimping, but it's the same thing with like a job. You don't go to an interview and you don't know how much they're paying.
Yeah, true.
Because if you do that, right? And I've done that when I was younger, and I got myself fucked over by that. Why? Because they hype you up on shit. So once they hype you up, what happens? Your brain now starts working. It's like, oh shit. I'm gonna have money, I'm gonna have this, but you don't even know how much money you're making.
Yeah.
And they're like, yo, we have those benefits, yo, you can move up in the company, you can do this, you can do that. It's like, okay, cool. And then they're like, and then you're like, what I do is I used to do that just to be polite. Now I don't give a fuck. I'm like, yo, how much you?
But then they bring you in. And I'm sorry, I hope I didn't cut you off.
Yeah, go for it.
Then they bring you in, and they're like, whoa. Like, you know, with those benefits, everything like that, you've been working 37.5 hours, you're like, okay, cool, I'm pumped, this is a full-time job.
Yeah.
And then they're like,
here's the bummer.
They're like, ooh, but it's 11:25. And like, I say that under my breath because that's how they say it too. They're like, it's 11:25, sign here. And they're like, I got you so hyped off the
Yeah.
benefits and the fact that after 2 years you get stock options,
Yeah.
and that, you know, if you sell over 50,000,
Yeah.
I mean,
we'll give you a
no one
bonus.
in the store is selling over 35.
But if you
but
can
they're
sell
telling
50.
you if you can sell 50, we'll get you a bonus too, and you're like, wait, what? Like,
And with your example, you're being generous because what they pulled to me is, it's commission work, and you know we're backed up by Google. Look at my name tag. It's backed up by Google. I probably printed the shit, but it's backed up by Google. And I swear to you, and you know what? The saddest part was they have a website. I'm not gonna call them out. I'm not gonna put the website on the shit.
should.
No, I won't do that.
Okay, fair.
But you go on the website, they're like, yo, you're making 50, 60K a year to start.
Then,
No commission.
Then you go into this office, quote
Yeah.
unquote. I mean, if you want to call it an office, because we've both been to places like this.
It's a desk, bro.
It's a desk in a building working for a company that you thought you were working for. There was prestigious examples being like Bell, TD, Chase,
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you show up to an office building downtown,
Yeah.
and like there's a dry cleaner in the main floor, and you're like, where the fuck am I?
And the best part,
And then you get up there,
Yeah.
and you're like expecting to see again like the names like Bell, TD, fucking RBC, Chase, something like that.
yeah.
And then it's like such and such Marketing Inc. And you're like,
That's if you get that. You got that. I went to a place where I was looking for that place. They said, this is the address. You know, I got my phone, I got my Google map going. So I'm like, all right, cool. I get to the address, and I'm looking because it's like one of those like big offices, like building offices where you have like a bunch of signs. So you would have like, okay, we're selling, I don't know, fucking vacuums, and we're selling this, that, and the third. And the guy's like, yeah, so you're going to find the office on the second floor. But I look at, what do you call those things? Like the directory, there you go. In front of every building, right? They're like, all right, you know, company that sells hose is 101.
Yeah.
Company that sells dreams is 102. Company that, you know, is going to screw you over is 103. And then I'm looking for their name. They're not there. And I'm just like, well, wait a minute. This guy told me it's second floor. So I go to the second floor, right? I pass the dude. And then I go back. And the guy's like, yeah, this is me. And he kept referring to a fucking name tag. Like, basically, he has a name tag. And then it's like, he has another keychain that says Google. And because of that, I'm supposed to be impressed by the fact that, you know, it's SEO, which is like search engine optimization,
yeah.
where basically this company gets paid to put your website on the forefront of like a search,
A Google search.
a Google search or everything.
But what bothers me about this is like, you know, I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
When this most recently happened to me, because like some of the viewers will remember from like my Where's My W's, we're just taking Al's video.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm currently looking for work. You know, like I'm not ashamed to admit that shit. But when this recently happened to me like a week ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I show up to one of these buildings, like I called the guy out in his office. He's like, oh, well, you'll be doing your interview with me. I'm like, I came here for like a job for Bell. He's like, oh, well, you know, we're a third party. We sell through Bell and all that shit. And I'm like, listen, I don't know who you think you are. I'm like, but I passed the Bell building on the way here. I'm like, I thought it was a mistake, and now you're telling me that I'm in the right place. And it's like, oh yeah, you are. Like, you don't understand. You're gonna make 60 grand. You're gonna do this. You're gonna do that. But like, the problem is, you and me, we're not retarded, right? We're not these kids out of university that don't know what an opportunity is and what one isn't. We've been working for 7 years, right?
Yeah.
So I call this guy out in his office because the only thing that says Bell are these 2 little awards that this guy's got
Yeah.
that are made out of glass that I could get made or you could get made or something like
Easily.
that says Bell, right?
Yeah.
And this guy's like, look at my Bell awards. Same thing with your name tag, right?
It's
Same thing with
stupid
your
shit.
Google name tag. I'm
This
like,
is stupid shit.
I don't give a fuck
Yeah.
about your awards. I'm like, I'm also telling you right now, I'm not interested in this job. He's like, well, you know, we had a really good interview. I'm like, the interview has been 20 minutes. You've been spending 3 minutes with everyone else. The only reason the interview is 20 minutes is because I thought I was lost and in the wrong place. Now I'm sitting down with you, and I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in your office. I'm disappointed in the fact that I thought this was an opportunity. You blinded me. But you know what? It ties into everything that we're saying. What did I turn into in that example? A fucking asshole. And you know why? You know why I'm an asshole? Because I admitted what I saw. And I was like, you know what? You're wasting my time. You're wasting my energy. And you're wasting all this shit. Because I don't deserve to be fucking hoodwinked like this. But that's what I'm saying. Yeah. We're the dicks, right? We're the assholes.
We point that shit out.
But a nicer version of me, let's say 3 or 4 years ago, would have walked into that opportunity. I would have been like, you know what, shake your hand. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I appreciate it. And then gotten the call, same as me today, like 2 hours later saying, hey, I want to get you in for a second interview. And be like,
go back.
I pass. I'm good. I don't want this. Right? Would have been like, you know what, thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm going to look elsewhere, whatever. The difference is today I have no filter. And maybe that's what being an asshole is. And you asked me what my opinion was earlier.
Okay.
Maybe that's what it is. You don't have a filter and you're blunt now with people.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's like, you're blunt, you don't have a filter, you're a fucking asshole. You're a dick. You're this, you're that.
Well, hey, take the label. Because
I accept it.
You have to take it. And I'll tell you why you have to take it. Because ultimately it ties down to the definition of what we were saying. And what I was saying when I'm like, look, you know, you're being a dick, people watch out for you now, right? So when I was out with you and we're just chilling, right? And this girl's like, okay, I'm gonna make it a point. She made it a point. Like we need to go back to the first video for that. I needed cause you were on the phone, right? I needed 3 guys or maybe 2 to just have her going away, because there wasn't many people in the venue, and you know everyone can see everyone, and then this girl just made it a mission, an absolute mission to just be like, okay, look, I'm gonna go to first level, and this is why you need many levels to love logic. This girl went to the first level of, you know, I'm gonna be an asshole.
Just so we're clear, we're talking about prior in the video where this girl came up to Max.
Yeah.
And basically was just like, hey, listen, you know, you can't talk to my friend. And then we started chatting about that for a little, just so people know where we're at.
Okay. So that's the premise. The premise is I have a girl that's looking at me. I decided to approach her, and her friend made it a point, not knowing what's going on, and she's like, oh well, my friend doesn't want to be bothered. So her first level is, you know, trying to shame me into what I'm doing, which is, oh, my friend doesn't want to be bothered, blah, 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 you should leave, right? So this is the first level. And usually the first level, I'm saying 80 or 90% of the guys just fuck off with that, because they don't want to take the heat, right? It's like, I got rejected already. Why am I still fighting the shit? But it's not about just fighting the shit. It's about principles. You can come up to me, right, and being like, hey, this is a girls' night, this is what I'm trying to do. But the fact that you single me out, the fact that you're just like, oh, you're being disrespectful to my friend, you know, you should leave. And I'm like, well, why should I leave? And then it goes to level 2, which is, oh, blah, blah, blah. Well, because I told you to leave. But you're not a cop. You're not the security of the club. You're 5'2", I'm 6'1", and you're a chick, and I'm a guy, and I'm a pretty big dude. So why do you think that your word will make me move, right? And it ties down to level 2, where I will be this cunt, and he's gonna leave, and then I can go back to talking to my friend. And this is why I told her, I'm like, listen, I'm having a conversation with your friend right now, so, you know, I don't care what you think, but I'm not leaving. Now, and she's like, well, you're not leaving. I'm like, I'm not. Unless you have a proper reason, why should I leave? I'm not leaving. And then guess what? That was the only 2 levels that she had. Because there's no logic. It's an emotional reaction to a situation, right? Somebody sat her down, or her friend sat her down, and they're like, look, girlfriend, this is a girl's night. Okay? If you see a guy talking to me, and this is why the whole like, oh, we should be saved. Like, if I do a sign, save me. It's the dumbest idea of life. And I hope that if any chick is listening,
I want to point out too, like that's
Yeah.
how it happened.
no, that's not what happened. But I'm saying it ties to the idea that, you know, girls will go out, and I've heard this. Look, girls have used me to save themselves
Yeah, I mean,
from dudes.
we've all had that. It's like, oh well, this guy's being super creepy, pretending to be my boyfriend.
Okay.
It's like, what's in it for me, ho? Like,
Yeah, but it's like, I do it, right? But now I'm thinking, why should I do it? Because I'm like, you have a mouth,
use.
use it, and not in a sexual way. Not now, anyway.
No, ho, you have a mouth. Use
But it's like,
it. Put that mouth to work.
it's a stupid idea where it's like, why can't you just tell a guy, and you're out clubbing, you're with your girls, right? There's people there watching. It's not like you're alone. You can tell them, look, I'm having a good night. I want to dance with my friends. All right, we'll talk, or whatever. You know, it was nice talking to you. Whatever. Like, I'm not interested, and then keep it moving.
I mean, I do want to point out that, like, we touched on that, I think, in the first video, that,
Mhm.
like, you know, some bitches just want to go out and dance, and we've mentioned that before.
But okay,
And- But, like, my whole thing is, like,
Alright.
that's not an excuse. You know,
It's-
like,
yeah,
because there's being civil and there's being, like, a civilized person. But, again, it's like I mentioned several times in this video and in past videos, like, hoes, they're not on the same level as, like, our mothers or grandmothers were, right? Like, they don't give a fuck. Like, they're just like, if I'm out to dance,
yeah.
then you know what? Let me take a physical response instead of an emotional or a verbal one to
Mhm.
get this guy to back off my girl. Because, like, I'll go so far as to make out with this chick and pretend that I'm a lesbian to tell this guy to fuck off.
You know that while you're mentioning that, I actually called two girls out of the club because of that.
My twin does it all the fucking time. She does it all the time with her girlfriend. Like, all of a sudden, like, her girlfriend will be, like, talking to some fire guy, and then, like, all of a sudden she feels jealous, and then she pulls that...
She pulls that bullshit.
She pulls that girl off that guy, and the friend's like, well, like, thanks for the rescue, but, like, I didn't need you, like, I like that guy. She's like, well, it's okay, I thought I cock block you, you know, like, but, like, there's hoes out there like that. My sister's just a fucking idiot, but I'm saying, like, it doesn't matter, like, there's people out there, and, like, the thing that bugs me the most
Yeah.
is that we can have this talk. It could be a 90-minute talk. I think, like, right now we're going on, like, 40 minutes, something like that. 51, whatever, it doesn't matter. But, like, my attitude is, like, it doesn't matter how long the talk is, because, like, if people don't learn, right? If people don't listen, if they don't understand that, like, all we're trying to get across is, like, a main final point to this video
Yeah.
is that, you know, unfortunately, it's, and I touched on it, I think, in the first, like, 10 minutes of the video, like, it's adapt or die.
Yes.
Nowadays, because
Mhm.
like, you know what, there's so many examples that we touched on today, whether it was work
Mhm.
or whether it was, you know, dealing with bitches or whatever, it doesn't matter, like, but you're forced to change.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's only because, like, nice guys, and maybe you can think of an example, I personally can't,
Or what?
they finish last, and they finish last consistently because no one gives a fuck anymore. And more importantly, like, if there's going to be all these girls with a hoe mentality running around that no one's calling out,
Mhm.
why would we expect them to give a fuck? We shouldn't,
But that's the
because
thing.
that's giving them too much credit. Like,
Mhm.
if girls are going to go out today and say to themselves, like we touched on in other videos, like, oh, you know what? Today I decided I'm just going to be a hoe. You know, like, I'm just going to fuck guys and not worry about shit and act 5 years younger than my fucking age.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to act like I've never gotten dick before.
But they praise it.
100%.
It's
It's
a
like-
praise.
It's like, that's the difference, right? That's the finite difference from,
Mhm.
you know, fucking like 30 years ago to now. And more importantly, like, it's like, how do you not change? If you don't change,
You die.
like I mentioned in the first,
You
again,
die.
10 minutes, like,
You die.
you're dying. It
You
doesn't
die.
matter what
You
you're dying
straight
of.
up
You're
die.
dying.
You die.
You're dying of loneliness. You're dying of pussy starvation. But
You
more
die.
importantly, you're dying because you walk down the street every day and you see these guys that are with what you would call your quote unquote dream girl. Maybe you know this girl, maybe you don't. Maybe,
Yeah, well, whatever.
Maybe it's just a good looking like.
You have an archetype. You have
Yeah, a good looking girl that's walking down the street.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, like, she's dressed like a hoe in the street, walking with a guy that's dressed nothing special, and it's like, I don't know if she chose to dress like that for that guy or if he's making her, but it doesn't matter because like that's how she's dressing. Anyway, walks down the street and you immediately think to yourself, because the first thing any guy does when he walks down the street and he sees another guy with a girl that he wants to fuck is he sizes the guy up, right? And you know, it's the same shit chicks do when they walk down the street with us, right?
That's definitely true.
But it's the same shit. So we have that instinctual response to be like, can I beat this guy up? You know, is that guy's hair better than mine? Are his clothes flyer than mine? Whatever. And then when you go X for all 3 points, like, doesn't have better hair, I'm better looking than that guy, and I can beat him up, you think to yourself, you're like, if this girl is as delicious as she fucking is and she's walking down the street, why not me? You know? Why not me? And then people will still comment on this video, or they'll say to themselves while they're sitting here thinking, they're like, oh, well, the difference is that guy had balls to go over and talk to that girl,
Precisely.
but you didn't. But I'd go so far as to say no, because if you were the nice guy, then you wouldn't even touch that in the first place because your instinct wouldn't allow you to, right?
Fair.
Because the nice guy instinct is, well, this is a home, right? I don't give a fuck about the situation. I don't know if they live together. But you're thinking of it as, that's a home. And if I talk to that girl while I can see her with that, I'm a home wrecker. So there's no argument because the nice guy is not allowed to talk to that girl,
Correct.
right? Correct. You have to be the asshole to go over and engage her and be like, hey, listen, use whatever line you want. You can be like, hey, you look like my future ex-girlfriend. You can be like, hey, listen, you guys are clearly related. Like, I just wanted to let you know that your sister looks gorgeous. Oh, well, that's not my sister. That's my girlfriend. It's like, oh, well, how did that work? Like, you guys look identical twins. Like, you just fuck with them. You can do whatever you want. It doesn't matter. It's going to work. Yeah. My attitude is like, but the second you talk to that girl, society's going to be like, you're an asshole.
Oh, well, who cares, though?
But I'm saying the nice guy, can't do it. So when you're walking down the street, and we were like that 3 years ago. Yeah. You're walking down the street and you're like, you know what? I can't even talk to this girl right now. Because I'm breaking my own code if I do, right? Like, that girl's happy. I don't know if she's a friend with benefits. I don't know if she's a slam piece. I don't know if she's a girlfriend. But I can't talk to her because it's not allowed within my code.
No.
Right? Yeah, now the difference is we don't give a fuck. I'm fucking married chicks. You're fucking doing whatever you're doing, but I'm saying like it doesn't matter because I don't give a fuck anymore because now it's not on me. It's if you decide that you want to have a whole mentality, you want to fuck around, I'll be the asshole. I'll fuck you. I don't care.
But here's the thing, right? I think what you decided to do, and ultimately this is why like I want people to have other options when it comes to thinking, as I mentioned in other videos, because if you as a guy try hard, right? You decide, okay, I'm talking, because it happened to me, okay? I went out and this girl, fire girl, is grinding on me. I'm not grinding with the chick. I didn't want to grind with the chick. She started grinding on me, and then I find out she has a husband. My code before was, I don't want to be a home wrecker. My code now is, the reason I'm not pursuing this is because I don't want the repercussion of that guy. It's not because I'm trying to like home wreck something. I'm not worried about the chick. I'm worried about the guy. Because if somebody has their ego bruised, you don't know what the fuck they're going to do.
Now, I do want to say this, and we talked about it in the first video. I've yet to put it on a shirt, but I think it'd be a fire shirt. I think the famous quote from the first video we ever did together was, don't get mad at... Don't get mad at the bitch. Don't get mad at the dude. Get mad at the bitch.
The bitch.
And I still think that's so fire today.
But that's
because that's what it is, right? Like, I'm not fearing, and maybe that's my mentality when I go out and I put myself in situations like that. Because I'm not fearing repercussions from the dude. Because it's like, dude, I've literally had a husband walk in on me fucking his wife. And been like, yo, you guys got to deal with this. I'm gonna leave.
No. But that's the thing. You were you were lucky in the sense that
No,
this
I
guy,
agree. I was lucky.
in the sense that this guy was like, look, the one that's fucking up is the wife. It's the one that I have a relationship
And
with.
I agree. Not all guys are gonna have that mentality.
Yeah, but then this is what I'm saying. Like, if you have your code can't be on, these are two beautiful human beings and they're together, and it's a whole. I don't want to break that. Your code is your personal code, which is what I'm trying to explain right now. Which is like, look, I don't want to play that chance because I'm like, there's plenty of chicks around, right? But.
Just so happens like 40% of them are fire and married.
But if a girl doesn't say anything and I'm going deep, it's like, and she's like, by the way, I'm gonna make this shit more fire to you. I'm like, why? I'm married. Then at that point, I'm already deep. Like, it's over. Like, fuck it.
You're like, I just exploded.
I'm like, oh fuck, I wasn't supposed to come. But,
No.
but, it just comes back and it ties down again to why we had to evolve. We had to evolve not because being a nice guy is a problem. It's because we were getting abused with it. Because it's like,
I'm tired. Personally, like, I'm tired of helping like bitches move.
but it's an abuse thing.
Exactly. I'm tired of, and I'll say this exactly.
Go for it.
I'm tired of helping bitches move and then get there and be like, oh well, you know what? Like, it's my chick that's a friend. I don't even think of her sexually. Whatever.
Yeah.
Like, we're just friends.
Yeah.
Right. And I've talked about, like, in the first video, like, chicks that are strictly platonic and that's it. Like, it's just like you can have that friendship.
Yeah.
Now, I'll go so far as to say, and just do a little bit of backpedaling as well, like, I'll go so far as to say, like, you know what? I've come to my senses since that first video, which was like, what, like a year ago?
Yeah.
And been like, the only way for you to be able to have a friendship with a girl is you gotta fuck her first.
Yep.
And
I absolutely agree.
I think that's my new mentality, only because, like, you know what? You can do whatever you want after you fuck the chick, but fuck her first.
Yes.
And then it's like,
Gospel.
oh, well, I only want to be friends with you now. Okay, cool. But, like, we fucked. And it was like,
but
it was either fire or it wasn't fire, it doesn't matter. But it's like, I fucked you, so now there's no part of me that's wondering what I'm missing out on if I pursued a relationship with you. Because I know what it is.
But it's a power move. What you do, essentially, when you do that, is you're like, I take the power that you have. Your trump card is the implied pussy. It's an implied thing. Because ultimately, what you're trying to do is, all right, I'm going to meet this chick. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And then hopefully I get it. And then this is where the abuse comes from with chicks. And this is why, like, maybe, like, people will hear the shit. They're like, I don't understand why those guys are angry. We're not angry. It's a frustration thing.
Oh, yeah, we're just fed up.
No, I'm not angry.
I didn't say angry. I said fed up.
It's a fed up thing. It's a frustration where we have to come up with this shit where we're like, okay, cool. The reason why you're abusing, well, girls in general are abusing nice guys, right, is because nice guys are not asking for their due. And when I say due, I don't want people to say, well, just because you're hanging out with a girl doesn't mean that she owes you anything. No, she doesn't. But why does she keep taking shit without even offering anything?
Oh, okay, perfect. Perfect segue back into my story.
Yeah.
So, I get asked
for that move
from this platonic friend to help move. I'm with my boy.
Yeah.
We both go over, right?
Alright.
So, on this day, this girl who's my platonic friend looks particularly fire.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go to her place to find out that she's got an even more fire roommate. Right?
That's the girl we met when we went to the club this one time.
I think so. So we go there. Mm-hmm. They're both in like spandex and yoga pants because God bless whoever invented that shit. And it's like they're both doing their shit. They're helping move. So we get over to the place. And it's like any other move that you've ever helped a friend with, where you get there and literally nothing's done. Right?
When you help
the truck is going to be there in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And you got to do their entire apartment in 20 minutes,
you gotta
right?
pack, you got to do all that nonsense.
So we're midway through a move, right? Midway through a move, we're moving some armoire down like some twisted banister. And these bitches they don't have the tools to take it apart.
Fantastic.
So we're taking our time and they're like, yo, like, hurry up, don't scratch things, don't scratch the walls, don't do this, don't do that. I'm like, yo, like this shit's fucking heavy, you know? And I'm not trying to be a bitch, but I'm like, I've been moving your apartment for the last 2 hours. I'm not getting paid shit.
Well,
I'm here. I'm here because I don't even know you. I'm like, I'm here because I'm friends with the other girl.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to fuck the other girl. I'm like thinking to myself, oh, this is what Brian
No,
and
she was a
Brian
friend.
friends.
She was a
It's
friend.
like she was a friend.
Yeah.
But with this move, she was no longer a friend. Right? Because of how it was handled. So all of a sudden, her girlfriend, who looked particularly fire in her spandex and everything like that, makes a comment as we're moving the armoire, right? And the comment is, oh, well, you know what? It's really funny because both me and my roommate, being the girl I know, you know, we're both fucking these dudes, just friend with benefit style, shit like that, and they wouldn't even help us. And we're sucking these guys' dicks, and they wouldn't even come and help us.
Oh.
But thank you so much, guys, for coming and helping us. At that point, I'm ready to drop this armoire because I'm like, are you fucking kidding me with a comment like that? I'm ready. And again, this is nice guy me. Like, current day me, I wouldn't have even shown up. But it's just, with that comment, I was ready to drop the armoire, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Not only am I moving this shit for you, but you're nagging me, you're telling me I'm not going fast enough, and you're also telling me that, like, the dude that you're sucking his dick has better things to do than be here and help you move. As the girl that's providing him with a steady amount of blowjobs, and I'm sitting here not getting shit. I don't even get a fucking Gatorade or Powerade. It's like, you thirsty? There's tap water over there.
Not
type shit.
with it.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like, and I'm doing everything, and it's like, but fuck you because you're a pussy whip bitch that's gonna come and help me.
But that's the thing. This comes down to what I was saying about this whole like nice guy thing, and this is where the abuse comes from, and this is what I mean by do. It's like, look, some girls, and I almost want to say all, but it's not all. It's almost
98%.
And the reason why I say almost is because they don't even realize it, right? Once they don't invest anything into something and to someone, then they think it's not worth it. And this is why I think they deal with real assholes, which will beat you up, take your money, drive your car around, drop you to work, and then go back to your place that you're paying, because we know that there's girls like that.
Oh yeah, man. I can name like...
We can name a few.
At least 5, just off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying, like, it's screwed up, and like, you know, this, I always say, like, as a final point, like, no, like, this is closing notes.
Yeah.
Closing notes, like, we pointed out today, you know, why the evolutionary, like, is necessary.
Yeah.
We also pointed out today why, if you don't evolve, you're just gonna keep falling into the same pattern. Like, don't get me wrong, like, there's always that nice guy. It's like, oh well, you know what? I had a fire girl, and you know she was great and everything like that, and I lived happily ever after with her. You know, yeah, she's got 2 kids from another dude, but like it doesn't matter because like I love her and shit like that. It's like I'm trying to find an ability to like respect this guy and respect his choice. And don't get me wrong, like, I know some people that, you know, have raised other people's kids and shit like that, and like they've had good families and shit like that, and I get that, and I understand. And to all my friends that are part, like the kids in these situations, I'm not trying to offend you. I'm just like, the example today is different than when your stepdad met your mom 15 years ago, right? It's different because your mom isn't the hoe that hoes are today, right? Because the difference is, you see it all the time, and I love it because every time I see it, I send it to you from like POF or something like that, where girls are like, oh, well, you know, I got 2 kids.
At 22.
I got 2 kids, but I'm not just looking to fuck. I mean, I'm also pregnant now with my 3rd kid from 3 different dudes.
Oh, I sent you that one.
Yeah, I'm pregnant now with my 3rd kid from 3 different dudes. But I'm not looking to fuck. I'm actually looking for a guy that cares about me and will take care of me and my kids. I'm like,
I need a guy that has his shit together. That's what she said.
But all I'm thinking to myself is, I'm like, what self-respecting dude is going to bail this girl out? And don't get me wrong, there's some single mothers out there, and like, we all know there's exceptions, and that's what you gotta know as the viewer. There's exceptions. There's exceptions to what we're discussing, but we're not talking about those girls at this
because there are exceptions.
Exactly. We're talking about the ones that have no problem going on POF or going on Tinder or doing whatever, or just even picking you up at a bar and being like, yeah, so I got 2 kids. Like, before you come back to my place, let me show you 9 pictures of them. And more importantly, let me tell you about how, like, it's all about them and shit like that. It's like, well, where are they tonight while you're out? Because you told me they were 3 and 5. Where are they tonight? Oh, well, they're staying over at my mom's house. I go out 3 or 4 times a week. It's like, oh, you think that's what's best for the kid? It's like, oh, now you're gonna tell me how to parent? You don't have any, like, it's just like, it's this circle, and it's like you can't win that argument.
No, you can, but
I'm not gonna try it. That's what I was saying.
You're not gonna try it, but I'm saying you can win it because ultimately, right? It's the arrogance. It comes back to the arrogance thing. It comes back to, as a girl, I don't have the skill to get a man. And what I mean by get a man, yeah, you can fuck guys. You can fuck 20, 30, 40, 50 guys.
Yeah.
But this is not a skill. Right? Because literally, chicks like that can go up to anyone and be like, look, your dick in my vagina.
Yeah.
That would be the pickup line.
We've mentioned this before. It's not news. It's not like, oh my god, this guy watched our, what is this, 6th or 7th video?
But it's not
like,
news.
And it's like, shit, that's an epiphany.
But with that, it also means that if you want to grab a chick, you need to basically, what you're doing is convince her that, look, this whole like courtship, I have to take you out on a restaurant, and then I have to like take you for drinks, and then I have to be cordial. It's some horse shit invented by girls because they can have their cake and eat it too. I.e., if you're not good looking, I get a free meal.
Yeah.
And this is why it comes down to, if you guys out there want to date chicks, you do it on your terms. You don't give a fuck because you're like, and this is what I do now. I'm like, yo, you want to meet up? It's summer. Let's meet up for ice cream.
Yeah.
And the reason now people are gonna be like, clinic, you're cheap. It's not being cheap. It's the principle, which is, I'll spend $10, and then if it's about me having a conversation with you, it can turn out to be anything.
Yeah.
Why do I have to show you that I can give you this free meal and do all this when you're not doing shit for me?
I think the idiots out there that are going to come at it from a perspective of like, you know what, like, fuck you, like, I'm worth more than like a $10 ice cream, or I'm worth more than like this or that. Like, we're not saying you're not. I'm just saying, like, why should I make that investment in you? It's like, if I'm going to have a girl on Tinder tell me like, oh, well, you showed up, so like that was good enough to fuck me, right? Like,
but that's what it is.
But I'm saying, like, why all of a sudden are you worth more than $10 to me without being proven? It's like, it's like the law, right? Like, you're innocent until proven guilty. Yeah. My attitude is like, you're a hoe until proven otherwise.
There you go. You're guilty until...
I'm gonna put that on a shirt. You're a hoe until proven otherwise, because my attitude is like, if we're gonna go and we're gonna have 6 or 7 of these videos, or like however many we put out in a week, and basically just be like, every day, this is hoe mentality. This is why society's fucking up. Mm-hmm. It's like, prove me wrong. If you can prove me wrong, I'll make a video about it, and I'll admit.
No, sure.
I'll make a video about it. In that video, I'll be like, you know what? I met this one girl, and this one girl, she doesn't follow any of the shit. But I'll tell you right now, it doesn't exist.
No, but even if no, here's the thing. It will exist. The only thing is, that is the exception that confirms the rules.
Oh,
that's what it is.
We mentioned it, right?
Like,
we mentioned there's that 2%, and that what we're referring to is 98%.
I'm sorry, but every fucking rule, right? Every rule has exceptions. Every rule has them. And the reason it has an exception is because it's a general rule, right? And we talked about the pool thing, we talked about everything. And this fucking thing is going to be long because we have a lot of examples. So, it is what it is.
Yeah, I really don't give a fuck about time.
Don't care. But what I'm saying is this, right? It ties down to everything that we're saying, okay? Everything, like, when you try to get girls, you try to get a job, you try to get up at life, it's about you. So, if you're saying, well, I'm a nice guy, and this girl said this, that, and the third. You need to change your priorities, and then you need to evolve into this guy that's like, look, my happiness is paramount. It's the my happiness, me being happy about what's going on in my life is better.
It takes precedent.
It takes precedent over you being offended,
exactly.
over my mom saying I'm an asshole. Look, my mom, here's the thing. Great example. My mom, I suspect that a couple years ago she cheated on my dad. Because she pulled like some weird shit where she took the family car. We had this one car. We're 5, right?
Okay.
She took the family car. She drove it maybe 10 minutes away, right?
Okay.
And then on some, I'm going to, because at church they always have like those study shit on Thursday or something. So she said something like that, takes the car, drives like 10 minutes away where we can walk, literally 10, 15 minutes away, and then just leaves. My dad, and this is why, although, we talk about, I deal with my dad, and my dad is cool, but sometimes he pulls some bullshit. But the reason I pull up with it is because that day, he's like, yo, something's not right. And he's like, yo, Max, you want to go for a walk? I'm like, yeah, all right. So we go for a walk. It's like, yo, Clinic, we're going for a walk. All right. We go for a walk, and we find the car. But while we were walking, he's like, yeah, I'm going to find the car. I'm like, what are you talking about? My mom went to that fucking, Bible or church study thing.
Yeah.
You right? Like a fucking GPS, bro. He just gets there because we had 2 keys. He gets there, grabs the car, parks it right back to a parking spot. Right? 2 hours later, my mom shows up to our place without saying absolutely nothing. Kind of like, well, I knew the car's going to be there. But you left with the car. Right? So, goes to show me that she probably pulled some shit where she's like, I'm going to use that excuse and then I'm going to have either my man pick me up or something. Because at that point, marriage was like, fuck. They don't talk to each other. It was bad. It was like, if my mom had to give money to my dad, or my dad had to give money to my mom, like, I was the one doing it.
Yeah, I did it in between.
Right? But the reason I'm mentioning all this is just because, okay, right? You get to a level like that, and you're just like, but you're pulling this shit in front of me, and then you have the audacity of just being like, okay, cool, I'm going home, and I'm not going to say shit. Right? If my dad was a dick, and I'm thinking, if it was me, right, I would have taken that car, I would have made that car disappear.
I mean, if it was you, quote unquote,
quote unquote being
an
asshole, but no, not even an asshole. Go like a step further, like being a dick, and being like, oh, this is where you get a pull. I can play better chess because I want to see what the fuck you're gonna say to me. Then I would have taken that car, I would have made that shit disappear, and then come back home before you come, and then just watch you fucking
explain what happened.
Explain where the fuck you went.
Yeah.
Because you took a car, you're supposed to go to some fucking Bible shit. You come back 2 hours later with no car, and I don't know where it is. And because that you left me with 3 kids, I couldn't move anywhere. I don't know where the car is. And then I look at you, try to explain this shit to me.
I mean, it's an example with no holes that I can see in it. But my whole thing is this, right? When you get back to the talk.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a good example because it's the truth. It's how would it have been handled differently, right? We both know Emilio today.
Yeah.
And it's Emilio would handle shit a lot differently today.
Jesus.
They would have handled back then. He probably would have disappeared the car, right?
He would.
But that's because Emilio, quote unquote, is an asshole. But it's the thing I think we haven't talked on,
Yeah.
and you know what? I don't give a fuck if
Do it
this is a
now.
90-minute talk.
Fuck it,
or
do it now.
whatever, like-
Do it now. Do it now.
But my thing is, it's like,
Alright.
it's all these examples
Mhm.
that we've been giving you. That's what's made this video so long, fam. And like, I apologize. Actually, no, I don't apologize. Like, you know what? It's long. Like, you want something else. You want something where you know it's gonna be short. Like, fuck it.
This is not the videos, man.
This isn't for you.
No, people got other videos.
But that's
shorter.
what I mean. That's
Yeah.
what I mean. So
all
it's
good.
like, my thing is like, we don't put time restrictions on this. We talk, right?
Yeah.
So
Good.
the example that we haven't talked about is
Mm-hmm.
what are these events that are turning you into this? And like we touched on it, you know, because like I gave the example about the move. I gave the example about, you know, the girl from the other day that you touched on a couple videos
Okay,
ago,
but
and shit like that. But I'm saying like the reason we're transforming is because no one. I go so far as to say like no one is born, and it's like from the second they're born, they kick the doctor, and it's like, oh, your kid's a fucking asshole.
yeah,
You
no,
know, like,
they don't. They
No one is born like that, right? It's not nature versus nurture. It's a combination of both. But it's what is your upbringing, right? Did
you
you,
know
come
what
from
happens?
a single parent home? Come from two parents? Your parents get split in front of you.
Maybe.
You witnessed the shit that you witnessed. It's like, did it take Hose having a mentality to break you down into the new guy that you are? It's
Yeah,
like, how
it
did you
did.
get from point A to point B?
It did, and I'll tell you what. And I'll tell you what happened. I'll tell you what happened. Is like you wake up this one day, you have an epiphany.
Yeah.
You wake up and you smell the coffee.
Yeah.
Finally.
No, I
This
agree.
is what happens. Because when you break shit down, and then where we're having those thoughts right now, right? And I'm like, all right, I love this chick. Or, you know, I really want, I'm dating a chick. Or I love this chick. And I'm like, all right. But she always posts some random shit. Right? And what I do is I don't reply. And I'm like, look, we should work this out. We should do this. I'll take you out on vacation. I'll do whatever, right? I'll bring you flowers. I had a friend that called me talking about like, oh, well, you know, this girl, you know, I want to be with her. I'm like, yeah, but you broke up with her. Oh, I want to be with her, so I'll do this extra shit. I'm like, look, but you can't pull that. Why? I'm like, look, she needs to come on her own.
Yeah.
Oh, but I love her. I'm like, look, but okay. Wake up and smell the fucking coffee. Okay? And what I mean by that is when you decide that you're like, look, I want things to be done, right? You take your plan, you take your niceness, you take all that shit, you throw it away. You're like, I'm going to go with what works. And what works right now is you ask, and you don't need to be mean about it, but this is what it's going to be perceived as. And you're like, this is what I want.
Yep.
But you need to train for that because, you know, it's not something that we're teaching to anyone, right? And this is why, quote unquote, we'll say assholes are natural, that we see guys that are better with women and all that, right? It's because they understand that, look, if I talk to 10 chicks, all right, the ones that I have to worry about are the ones that are not responding to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But the minute you got a girl that's talking all this, oh, well, you're an asshole for this, you should leave, you should do this, it's extra aggression. And then aggression means that you have an emotional response to that. It means that I can switch it around to anything I want.
Yeah.
Once you get that, once you understand that, you you take it in your mind. You're like, all right, this is what I'm about. This is what I gotta do. Even if you're emotional about anything, I'm not saying not be emotional, but I'm saying when it comes to this game, when it comes to this girl, when it comes to this job that you're grabbing, when it comes to dealing with your parents, when it comes to dealing with your mom, when it comes with anyone, when it comes to dealing with people, you need to get your point across. And then the minute they have an emotional reaction about anything, okay, you hit them with the logic, and even if it hurts you, you can't show it. Because human beings are abusive. And abusive is that what they wait on, they feed on emotions. They're not looking at your fucking argument. They're not looking at the fact. They're not understanding where you're coming from. What they're gonna do is say, oh, this guy came up to me talking about some I want to take you on a date shit. I told him that I have a boyfriend, so he should fuck off. And then he told me that I was a bitch. Therefore, he's an asshole for it. But what happened here is that you were being the asshole to start with, because if you're so happy being in a relationship, which tells me that you're running that fucking relationship because you're too comfortable talking to a random dude like that. Imagine your boyfriend. He's a fucking pussy, and I know it.
Yeah.
Because you can't look any girl that I'm dating. And you've been around like a few.
Yeah, a
couple. Any girl that I'm dating is respectful as fuck to anyone that she talks to. And the reason is because she has a high level of respect for me. And it's the same thing for me too. If I'm meeting her girlfriends, I'm not there hating on them. I'm not there acting a fool. She knows that, okay, cool, like, he could be around and he's cool. But it's a respect thing. But it fucking trickles down, right? A girl that's super happy and running shit is bad. I don't care what you're saying. Oh, this girl bosses and shit. Yeah? This girl bosses, right? How come she can't have a fucking man? You tell me.
Yeah.
The reason she can't have a man, I'll tell you why. Because she's a boss, right? She doesn't want to submit to some guy that's just maybe a plumber or something. I mean, maybe the plumber would do a better job. But she's like, well, I'm a CEO of this shit, so I need a CEO, or I need a president of some country that needs to date me. But the president is not trying to date you.
Yeah, they're not trying to fuck with hoes like that.
Because you can't be tame. Ultimately, you need to submit. Look, relationship with anything, it's about
give and take.
But ultimately it's not even give and take. It's somebody gets played and somebody is playing. It's like an instrument. Okay? And we're like, we usually talk about relationship in this podcast a lot. So if we're taking a relationship, the guy needs to be the instrument player, and then the female needs to be the actual instrument. If that shit stays the way like that, it works. Because it's like, okay, we see them as a whole, a couple. We have the guy, highest level, he's the player. He's the player of the instrument. That's what we look at. We're like, shit, he's playing this instrument, it's going nice. Some nice music coming out of there. Then we get to praise the instrument, because we're like, this instrument was built well, it plays amazing, the chords or whatever instrument it is, the sound that comes out of it is great.
Yep.
Okay? But if it's the opposite, you can't have a great instrument and then you have a shitty player. Because what happens? The music that comes out of it is shit.
No, there has to be a dominant. I agree with what you're saying. Like, the guy, like, if you give Jimi Hendrix a shit guitar, he's going to make it sound good. Right? It doesn't matter that it was a shit guitar. All of a sudden, you give him a Hendrix guitar, right? It's like,
it's amazing.
Oh my God, that's fucking Jimi Hendrix on a Hendrix.
Right.
It's like, I think you wrapped up this talk beautifully. I think you summed it up great. Like, my attitude is like, if people are listening to this, the smart ones will adapt or they'll die. Right? Like, yeah. I mentioned that the first 10 minutes. Like, if you don't believe me, go back and listen to it. But it's like, we've given examples, right? Like, if it hasn't happened to you yet, it will happen to you over time, right? Like, we listed off maybe 6 or 7 examples in this talk, and that's maybe why it ran a little bit longer. But my whole thing is, the examples were everything from like family to like home mentality to day-to-day life to jobs to whatever. It's like something is going to break one day, right? And something's going to snap in your head, and you're going to be like, you know what? I'm tired of being played, right? I'm tired of being the instrument. I want to be the person playing the fucking instrument.
Yeah.
I want to be the person on top. I want to dictate my fate, right? But that's when you decide, I'm going to be an asshole, because that's what society calls for.
Exactly. Yeah.
As always, I am Alessandro Tryhard. I'm here with the one and only
Calling out clinic.
AKA Clinic. That's what he wants to be referred to as. And this is another one of our podcasts. We will see you guys in the next couple days, probably with something new. So thank you so much. As always, not too many of you guys have been doing this. You probably should. Feel free to subscribe to Calling Out Clinic, the page. That way you guys can keep up to date whenever we put out new videos. We're trying to do it every few days or so.
Yeah.
Normally we drop like 2 or 3 on you guys at a time.
We've been consistent now.
I'm just trying to be a little consistent. But make sure you subscribe. If you give this video a like, it'd be really huge. But just watching it's always good too. So thanks so much, guys. We appreciate the love.
Ciao.